Today we are going to see about the muscle. A muscle is a contractile tissue that is that brings the movements of an organ and whole the body. It is a special type of tissue that having a property of a contractility, and it shows the movement of the all the organs and also the whole body also sometimes. This muscle is divided into. Before we are going to see its classification, what are its properties? It is a sensitive to stimulus. So that property is called as irritability. And contractility means when we give the stimulus, then the muscle contracts its lengthwise. That means the length becomes shortened. That condition is called as contractility. Next one is the excitability. When we give the stimulus, the muscle will become return to its normal position. That condition is called as extensibility. And next property is the elasticity. The muscle assures the muscle having a increasing its length. That property is called as elasticity. So these are the properties of a muscle. What are those? Irritability, contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. Irritability means sensitive to the stimulus. Contractility means when we give the stimulus, it contracts its lengthwise. And extensibility means coming into its normal position. Next one is the elasticity. That property, contraction, relaxation, that property is called as elasticity. Next one is the what are the types of muscles? There are three types of muscles are there. Those are skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. First of all, we see the skeletal muscle. The skeletal muscle is a striated. That means it shows a small striations, dark and light bands we can find out. And it towards the spinal nerve stimulus. So its property is voluntary. Coming to the smooth muscles, these are spindle shaped fibers. They show the property of a cardiac muscle is present in heart. First of all, we see about the voluntary muscle. This muscle, if you see, we can see the cross striation. That means they show the both dark and light bands, and it is supplied by cerebrospinal nerves and which are controlled by voluntarily. So it is a voluntary striated muscle. This attaching to the skeleton, that's why it is called a skeletal muscle. Next one is what are its functions. If you see its function, because of its contraction and relaxation, it shows the movements. And also while it is contracting and relaxation, while that movements, it produces some heat. Next one is it is useful for maintenance of your posture and body support. Next, unstriated muscle. Name itself saying it doesn't having any striations. We can't find out any dark and light bands. It is a simple type of contractile tissue. They are responsible slowly to a stimulus and capable of the sustain a contraction. That means when we give the stimulus, it shows a slowly contraction and relaxation. And also unstriated muscle, also the smooth muscle, we can also call it as a smooth muscle, and it is supplied by the autonomous nerves. That's why it is an involuntary muscle. Involuntary means without our conscious it can work muscle, so it is an involuntary action. And they provide the internal environment with the movement of a, so those, because of that movements we can get hungry without our conscious. Next is if you see the smooth muscle fibers, they are see here these are spindle shaped fibers. Here you are seeing a spindle shaped fibers with a central oval shaped nucleus you are observing. Okay, and these are arranged. These are unbranched ones. We can't see any striations, any is. So if you got smooth muscle as a 3 marks question, then you should write down it is a spindle shaped muscle fiber with the oval shaped nucleus, no striations we can find out, and it is present in visceral organs, we can find out in visceral organs. Cardiac muscle, it's intermediate between the skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. It is intermediate between the smooth and skeletal muscle. Here we can find out a striations, fine striations we can find out, and it is also supported by it is also supplied by the autonomic nerves. So it is also involuntary muscle. They are specially provided in intrinsic rhythmic contractions and contractility of a. So skeletal muscle parts. If you observe the skeletal muscle parts, see here, three parts are there. This is a fleshy part, that is the belly. This fleshy part is called as belly, and this part is called as the where it is going to end. This ending, the rod shaped structure, this is called as tendon. One more, if it is not end like a rod shaped, if at all, suppose if it is a flat muscle like a membrane shaped muscle, then it will ends like a sheet. That sheet is called as aponeurosis. If the ending like a cord, then that is called as tendon. That is a white fibrous structure. And if it is ends like a sheet, then that is called as aponeurosis. Though here we can see the parts, it is having a two parts, origin and insertion. So origin means where they are starting, and insertion means where they are going to attach. So how we can identify means origin is a fixed part, it doesn't show any movement. While the muscle contraction takes place, the origin place will not show any movement, but inserted place will show the contractility, that movement, it will show some movement. So this is an origin and insertion. Next one is the microscopic structure of a skeletal muscle. Actually, the skeletal muscle is formed with a number of millions and millions of a myofibrils. If you see, this is a myofibril. These myofibrils are arranged in a bundles. These bundles are called as a fascicles. Okay. And if you inside this fascicle, we can see a myofibril. So all these myofibrils are arranged in a bundles. This bundle is called as fascicle, and those type of fascicles are fused to form a muscle. So inside the muscle we can see number of fascicles. So overall the muscle fiber is covered with a epimysium, and each fascicle is covered with a perimysium, and each myofibril is covered with a endomysium. So myofibril is a muscle fiber. It contains a actin and myosin fibers. This is a muscle fiber, that is a myofibril. If you see under the microscope, we can find out dark and light bands. Dark band is called as A band, and light band is called as I band. Okay. See here, this is a dark band, A band, and this is a light band, that is called as I band. Middle of this dark band we can see a place. This place is called as H zone. This space is called as H zone. Center of this H zone we can find out a line. This is called as a M line. This line is called as M line. And the eye band, center of this eye band, we can see a imaginary line. This line is called as Z line. The space between these two Z lines is called as sarcomere. So when we see under myofibril, when we see under the microscope, we can find out a dark and light bands. Dark band is called as A band and light band is called as I band. A band center we can find out a zone that is called as H zone. Center of this H zone we can find out a M line. And the center of I band we can find out a Z line. The space between the two Z lines is called as sarcomere. Next one is a classification of a voluntary muscles. According to their color, according to the muscle direction, we divided the skeletal muscle into so many types. First of all, according to their color, red muscle and white muscle. Why it is appears in red color means lot of myoglobin is present. See, this is a red muscle, this is a white muscle. Here it is, why it is reddish in color means here we can find out a more amount of the myoglobin. That means like a hemoglobin in muscle we can find out a myoglobin. So that's why the muscle having a more amount of the myoglobin, it appears in red color. Less amount of the myoglobin is present, that's why it is white, little bit whitish in color, that is a white muscle. Here in case of red muscle we can find out a many mitochondria we can find out. Here fewer. Here rich blood supply is there, but here poor blood supply is there. And slow and continuous contraction will occur. Here rapid contraction will occur. And these are smaller in diameter, but they are larger in diameter. And where we can find out means most of the muscles are this red muscle only. But extraocular muscles around the eyes we can find out a extraocular, and for the movement of the eyeball, the muscle is a extraocular muscle, on that muscle is a red muscle. Next one is the based on their shape. See, it is a circular, the muscle fibers where they are starting, there only they are ending, those are called as circular muscle. So where they are present means around the eye, around the mouth we can find out. Next one is a pinnate muscle. Pinnate muscle means here we can find out the oblique short muscle fibers which are attaching to the tendon. Okay, so these are again divided into unipinnate. That means on the tendon only one side only the muscles are short and oblique muscles are attaching, they are appearing like a half feather. Coming to the bipinnate, all the muscle fibers arranged both the sides of a tendon, this is a bipinnate. Coming to the multipinnate, these bipinnate muscles are arranged adjacently, then this is called as a multipinnate muscle. Coming to the fusiform means bulk shape, biceps muscle is a fusiform muscle. Next one is a spine. One more muscle is there, I will explain this and this later. So see, next is a parallel muscle, a ribbon shaped muscle fibers arranged like a straight like a ribbon shape, this is a parallel muscle. Next one is based on their shape. It is a straight muscle. Straight muscle is a rectus muscle. There is a rectus which is present in the abdomen, that is a rectus abdominis. Oblique muscle fibers are arranged obliquely. So here external oblique muscle, internal oblique, those are present in the abdominal region. Okay, next one is here we are seeing a unipinnate, onto the tendon only one side the muscle fibers are attached. Bipinnate, both the sides muscle fibers are going to attach. and multipinnate, bipinnate muscles arranged adjacently, and circumpinnate, all the muscle fibers arranged around a tendon, that is a circumpinnate. Next one is a spiral muscle. See here, pectoralis major muscle. Spiral muscle means they, before they are going to insert, they twisted. Before they are going to insert, they twisted. So these muscles are called as, this type of muscle is called as spiral muscle. Example is a pectoralis major. See, this is a pectoralis major muscle. Now coming to the cruciate muscle. See here, before they are going to insert, they divided into two, superficial and deep. Superficial and deep, it is divided into superficial and deep, and then they are going to insert. So the superficial and deep muscle fibers are crossed. This crossing is called as cruciate muscles. And involuntary muscles of your body, they become stiffened due to the lack of its ATP, oxygen concentration, calcium concentration. They becomes stiff. That condition is called as rigor mortis. It starts to 2 to 4 hours of death and completes 6 to 12 hours. It gradually disappears within 2 to 4 days.